What is going on, Zalians, and welcome back to the Forex and Six series. In this episode, I will be going over the rising wedge. And the rising wedge is another continuation pattern, right? And it's very similar to the flag, right? The flag comes up and has parallel lines, and the rising wedge is actually going to come to a point, right? And I'm going to show you why that point is important and why it could be an extra confirmation that prices can do exactly what we want it to, okay? So nonetheless, let's get into it, right? So like I said, price is going to come to a point, okay? We have this bottom line and this top line coming up here and reaching the area where it's going to get very narrow when we get that drop, okay? So what does it look like? Price is going to drop in here, right? Touch down here, and then just reject back and forth. And we see that price comes down, taps here, and then we see that it gets narrower and narrower up the wedge, right? And then it's going to get this drop, okay? And again, we're looking for that last touch on the top trend line for the drop, okay? And so how do we see this in price? Well, right here, okay? We see that price gave us this big drop, okay, right here, boom. And then we see that price came up here. In this case, it actually touched the top trend line first, and that's still perfectly fine. But nonetheless, right, we got this drop or tap here, then a drop giving us this low, overall low. And then we see that price started slowly climbing up the wedge, okay? See touch here, touches here, right? And price kind of stayed up here, but then we see overall price started getting choppy, and we just see that the lines are getting narrower and narrower, right? We see touches here, and then we see finally the break. But nonetheless, I would like to catch this point, right? And I'll go over why this is still all valid here in a little bit, okay? But nonetheless, right? So once we see the price climbing the wedge, where is that point that we're looking for the sell, right? What are we looking for? Well, we come back and look at this down impulse, right? And again, I trade something called like smart money, okay? And so what we want to see is we want to see the push down, and we want to see one push up before we move down, right? So right here we have our candle, and right here big candle, okay? But the reason why I'm looking at this candle, right, this is my entry, is because again, I like to use something called a fib, and the higher levels are what I like to play, right? This one seems way too low, right? So that means that, you know, price could come up here and touch here, and yeah, price could possibly reject here, but nonetheless, I would love for it to play my levels, right? And so that's exactly what we have, right? So we have fib from this high, right? Swing high to swing low, right? Not this low right here, right? Because it's the overall low, okay? And so what we see is that price, you know, again, these four levels are the ones that I personally back tested, and they hit a lot more than any other level, right? So these four, okay? 618, 71, 786, 886. So once we see a price come down here, we see that this candle lines up with the 0.5, right? And so yeah, price came up to give us a rejection here, but it wasn't a big move, right? We see that price ended up climbing back up and still going, okay? So when we come to these top four levels, what we see is that price came down and pushed up and then dropped, and we see that the 7-1 actually lines up with the wick of this candle, okay? Now, I personally like to play the bodies of the candle, right, more than likely, but in this case, the wick is still valid because on a smaller time frame, that is a body candle, right? So once we see that price push down, we got the wedge climbing up, right? And again, it's not perfect. It doesn't look exactly like the picture, but price is slowly climbing, okay? And what we see is, again, price got choppy here and then broke through. But right here, what this is prices came back, broke through, and it's retesting this bottom trend line, right? This is what a retest is, right? Price broke, came back, touched again the bottom trend line, touched again the bottom trend line, and then right here, touched the bottom trend line again and dropped. And the reason why, though, this is still bad is because, first off, one, retests are great, another possible entry. But again, we see that, again, the rising wedge comes to a point. So once the price comes to a point, you know, the top two trend lines are very close to where this is like, see how price still pushed into our area where we wanted to, right? So price dipped in here, right? And so overall, I was expecting price to do that somewhere in here and touch the top trend line. But since it broke through, it's still very valid as it retested, but also hit our area of interest, right, in that fib level, okay? So personally, once we see these lines, right, so again, price comes into the rising wedge, and we see that price comes up in here. What's it doing? It's getting choppy right here, right? This is a very good confirmation as well, okay? Because again, price is coming to a point in the overall wedge. We see that price right now is getting choppy in the smaller channel, right? This is showing us that overall the bullish momentum is slowing down, and that we're going to get a bearish move, right? Because you see how price, you know, again, price started ranging wide, and then comes up and gets narrower, right? Narrower, and then we get that break. Boom. Once we get that break, we see again that retest coming, okay? So this is a great confirmation that price is going to turn around, okay? Over here, though, on this 7-1, this is where I set a sell limit. And the reason why I set a sell limit is because, one, I like to put a fib low on that candle, but we also see once price broke through, it didn't obviously make the full move. It stayed within this range and came back to retest, okay? And once we see this, like this little channel, You see these two wicks. Again, for something else with smart money, we want to see those equal highs, right? And once we get those equal highs, price is going to give us a little bit push, but then what happens? It's going to come back up, give us one more tap above these highs, right? It's going to break those highs, and then it's going to drop, okay? And so this is something this is like a perfect visual of something I like to see in our trade, right? We see that price came up in the channel, broke through, retested, gave us one spike up, hit our sell limit right at that 7-1, and then dropped, okay? This was a perfect snipe. We see how price pushed up into there, tapped the 7-1, and then dropped, right? Beautiful trade off this candle, off the rising wedge, okay? So what does our trade look like, right? What is our position? Well, first off, stop loss again is always above this wick, right? This is the candle we're playing, this is the candle area. It doesn't need to be any higher than this, right? And we see in this case it was a perfect snipe and drop, right? So it's about 29 to 30 pips stop loss, and then price just dropped, right? Our take profit, me personally, I say this every time, I like to play the lower fib levels, like the negative 0.272 and the negative 0.618. But we see that price can come down and just tap here, right? On every pattern, a safe take profit would just be the first point of the bottom trend line, or the top if it's the opposite. But in this case, right, this is our safe take profit, right? Because, you know, in every pattern, price will come back and break that low. Okay, so right here, I had our take profit here for 274 pips. I'll take that. I'm not going to get greedy, right? We see that price came down. Right here, rejected up. I took partial somewhere in here. Price pushed back up, retested again right here. We see like this choppiness. See this last little push up before the move down? That's exactly where price retested and dropped. Okay. So, but nonetheless, right? So this was about a 30 to 275 pip risk to reward. Beautiful trade, right? Beautiful rising wedge. We see how it got choppy at the top before the drop. Played the candle, played the 7-1. Beautiful trade, beautiful snipe. So nonetheless, that is the rising wedge. And I hope you guys got a lot of value from this video. You know, if you did, please subscribe to my channel. Link is in the bio. Link is also in the comment section of this video. And I appreciate his aliens. Come in peace and come in profit. Thank you.